Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching God, Sex, and Love. Tonight, we're chatting with a life coach, and her name is Tabatha Perry. So if you're ready to learn more about her, stay tuned.
No, you see what I'm about. Not hard to figure out that I'm not the type of girl that goes around and fools around. Have a one night affair, but I won't go where you need.
Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I am here with the lovely Miss Tabatha Perry. How are you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. Welcome and everything like that. I know it's your first time here on GSL.
Yes.
Oh goodness. Well, I would love to learn more about you and where you're from and what you have going on.
Absolutely. So I was actually born and raised in Alaska and have lived in over 22 different homes and have moved a lot, but I live right now in Minnesota and absolutely love it. If Alaska and Texas had had a baby, Minnesota would be that little baby. I just absolutely love it and find a lot of joy in the scenery as well as the people. So I am a life coach and became a life coach because I wanted to have my own business and not have a boss and not be told what to do or when to work or how to work or what morals and values I should have. And so I created a business around helping other women kind of create that order in their life and help them identify what they value, what they want out of their life. So that way they can move forward and create the life that they want.
I love all of that. That sounds amazing. I mean, definitely, we're right here when it comes to entrepreneurship. Everybody should know by now. I love my entrepreneurs. I get that it's not for everybody, but I love being one, and I get it. I get what you're saying. This is very interesting too. Born in Alaska, because
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I met someone that from there before. So I think
There you
first
go.
time. Like, how long did you live there?
I lived there for 25 years.
Oh, so you really got a chance to really experience.
I experienced it. Yes. The
Is it
light,
like,
the cold, the dark, all of the things.
wow, that's very amazing. Interesting. I hear about these Alaskan cruises and all this stuff, and it
Yes.
sounds interesting. I just imagine cold ice, almost North Polish. That's my imagination.
It's probably pretty accurate, actually, but going on a cruise is definitely the way to see Alaska.
Okay, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Husband, hear this Alaskan cruise in our future.
Yes. Just bring a warm coat.
Right. Yeah. Oh goodness. I wonder, do they actually do excursions there and stuff too, like the way that regular cruises do? Probably.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Go on a helicopter, land on a glacier, go dog sledding. Absolutely.
This sounds kind of adventurous though. It really does. So, man, okay, so you did get a chance to like grow up there and everything. So, and I hear Minnesota is kind of similar in an aspect where it's like,
Yes.
I almost went up there too. That was the crazy thing. I almost, I had this opportunity. I auditioned for this job, got it, and I was debating, and then I decided to just stay in Florida at the time. And I can't remember why I came to that conclusion. But yeah, I was almost in Minnesota. I might would have been a neighbor. Who knows?
Hey, I love it. I love it. It's good people up here.
Yeah. And I mean, well, I'd love to still go one day to both of those places and everything like that. Well, I'm sure that this formed you to be who you are, living in those places as well. But what kind of I mean, I know you said that you didn't want a boss and things like that. Was that the thing that kind of lit the flame of entrepreneurship for you, or was it just something else? Like, was it that you saw a need and was like, I need to fill this, or like, what was that spark?
Yeah. So honestly, it's only been the last probably year that I've even taken on the label entrepreneur. I would call myself a business owner, but not an entrepreneur because I like rules. I like structure. I like when things are orderly, therefore my business, right? And entrepreneurship means you have to be okay with mess. You have to be okay with dreaming big and trying a bunch of things and not have them work. And
Mm.
that to me is terrifying as a perfectionist. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still like working through it. However, the freedom that comes from the entrepreneurial mindset is like incredible. Like you see every single thing as an opportunity, whether it's to make money or just encourage someone. It's like this spirit that I didn't know that I even had, and
Mm.
which has again developed over time. I wanted to start my business solely because I wanted to be able to help people, to give back in a way that also benefited my family financially. And also wanted to be done by 3 o'clock when my kids were out of school. And
Mm.
that was really important to me, of just being able to be home for my kids. Now, granted, I have the privilege to be able to do that. A lot of women don't. But I wanted to make sure that I stewarded the time that I had with my kids really well, and steward the time that I have without my kids really well also.
Yes, I mean, both of those things are definitely very important. I think for me, I would say still a new mom, even though my son is 3 now. But and once he got here, I saw the need that, okay, yeah, I need to make sure I got some time for me. I need to make sure that, I love the aspect of me being able to do what I do from home. I call it my hustles from home, and I've been doing those things from home. So my work situation just drastically changed when he, came into the picture and everything like that. But at the same time, I'm finding peace with that as well. Finding ways to work through that, and even though sometimes it still kind of feels weird, it's like, because I was used to doing this gig, that gig, over here, over there, and now I'm just literally like, oh, creating and doing all these things from home and whatnot. But yeah, it's a piece that comes with it. It's like you said, it's like an organized mess. An organized mess. Like you said, there's all this creativity and all the things that you can like get into, but at the same time, it's like the fluctuating schedule and the fluctuating income and all of that as well. And you
Yes.
have to be okay with that, like you said, as an entrepreneur. So yeah, so tell me more about the business in particular, and because I know you said specifically that you wanted to focus on helping women. So
Yeah. So I've always been in a helping field. I have my background in social work. I've worked in corrections. I've worked in the prisons with women, as
mm,
well as have worked with stay at home moms, but like teen moms, and then have worked in pregnancy resource centers. So I've always had a heart for working with women and wanted to help them like not go through all the challenges that I had, because I got to a point where even though life was really great, I just didn't feel content in it because I
mm,
lost myself. There was this point where my mother-in-law had asked me, "Hey, where do you want to go for your birthday lunch?" And I didn't have a response for her. And it seems silly, like, okay, big deal. You don't have a restaurant in mind. But like I legitimately didn't know what I even like to eat anymore, because I would just either go to Chick-fil-A for my kids or wherever my husband wanted
mm,
to go.
wow.
So being able to identify like, okay, I've gotten to a place that I did not realize that I had been, and I had been volunteering and really active in the community. So it wasn't that I was just sitting at home doing nothing. I was literally just pouring myself out in so many different ways. So I realized that there's other women like that have poured themselves out, whether it's in their job, whether it's to their family, however, and they just needed some encouragement on how to get back to who they were, because that is your vehicle to get you through life. And if we're not aware of what our strengths or our values or our beliefs about ourselves are, it's so much harder to go through life feeling at peace and doing ultimately what God has called us to do, because we were created for purpose, on purpose, right? Like the fact that whoever's watching this right now is watching this, that is like a divine appointment. Like we were created to do certain things in our life. And so being able to help other women step into their fullest potential is
Mm.
like totally something that I that's on my heart, because I am continually trying to step into my potential and I know how hard it is. And so sometimes we just need a cheerleader helping us out.
Man, amen. Look how timely this is for me today. I mean, I know again, this is going to be in the future for future GSL people, but for me right now, it's definitely timely to hear that confirmation about knowing yourself. Because I can recall a time where I kind of lost myself too, and Specifically, I know like the gentleman that I was with before I got with my husband, that relationship was a huge factor because, he was someone that critiqued every aspect of me, nitpicked everything about me. And it made me wonder, like, who am I? Like, because his
Yeah.
description of me was so opposite of what I knew myself to be, where it was just like, is this what I give? Is this what people receive when they see me? And it got to the point where one of the things that I had to do at that time was I started emailing myself my thoughts just to like
Wow.
remember how I think, like remember who I am, and in spite of what he said or whatever. And the fact that, you said what you just said today is very interesting because I'm literally before now going through, I would say, persecution when it comes to, I feel like it's probably regarding this. I think it's regarding GSL and this, what God has me doing.
Mm.
Something is trying to distract me from doing it, right? Something's trying to make me question my, um, well, the integrity is a word that was used recently and everything like that. And it's very interesting because it's,
Wow.
um, yeah, but see, things are different now, right? Like I have a good sense of self now, so even as I go through that, and yeah, it might hurt to hear that someone may think of me a certain way or may see me in this negative way, but at the end of the day, it's like, I know who I am. I know who God has created me to be, and that's not going to
Yeah.
stop me from keep doing this. And thus, here we are recording on this same day. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And everything
yes.
like that. So, to God be the glory, for confirmation and whatnot. And thank you, for doing what you're doing, and being a cheerleader for these women. Because yeah, we can get lost along the way, whether it's through motherhood or, like you said, like, working or whatever the case is, we're spreading ourselves thin. We're pouring and pouring and pouring. And I know I have a group that I try to remind women all the time that, hey, y'all, let's not take, don't forget to take time to unwind. Like, let's take time to, for
Yes.
self as well, self-care or whatever. And so I don't know what all you get into when it comes to your business and whatnot with people, but I would love to hear more about it. And so if a woman was to come to you and seeking the help and whatnot, like, what would that look like, and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love just hearing her story, right? I think it's so interesting how people talk about themselves and the highlights and the lowlights that they want to share. And then we initially get into figuring out who they are, having them rediscover themselves, right? And so we get into reflecting on that story that they share and pulling out their strengths, pulling out the values that they've demonstrated throughout their life and even beliefs about themselves, and challenging some of the negative beliefs and really kind of start pulling out the really positive beliefs and looking at those, because beliefs are things that we can choose, right? Beliefs are thoughts that we've had over and over and over again. They can be changed. And
Mhm.
so even though who we are is like who God created us to be, we can always be developing ourselves and looking at ourselves in a more positive light
Mhm.
because God does. He created us in his image.
Yes.
So
Yes.
once we kind of go through that of figuring out like, okay, more of a stronger sense of self, then we get into like, what do you want in life? Like, what
Mhm.
is the one thing? And we focus on one thing. So whether it's, I don't know what job to take, the last, 15 pounds I want to lose.
Mhm.
I want to start my own business, whatever that thing is, we really kind of dig in deeper as to like, what is making them want that, their motivation behind that. And then
Mhm.
we move into how do you actually get what you want, and go through a process that actually talks a lot about distractions, because distractions are what kind of prevent us from moving forward and getting the things that we want.
Girl, listen, you finna it's all started now. Yes, ma'am. Those distractions are going to definitely try to come. You actually were reminding me of, I guess, old me, and I just thought this is a testimony that I've been sharing a lot. That I hope encourages and inspires people, because I see the change in me, right? I see the difference in the way that I do things now. And I feel like my YouTube is a huge testimony of that, because back in the day I used to do these, like, there's a couple of, or just so many random ideas, you know, the entrepreneur spirit to come up with so many ideas. I had these random playlists that I was making. Like one was called Let That Marinate. And it just would be me ranting about whatever it is. And it's like, and so let this marinate X, Y, and Z, you know? And then there would be times when, back when I was single, I would do what I call the hopeful romantic, where I was just pretty much sharing my thoughts as a single Christian woman, and like, this is what I'm going through, and I'm here, y'all. And if anybody else is going through this too, and you know, just sharing my random thoughts at that time. And along the way, I would get discouraged, like, because you know, you would see the views, or you wouldn't get people commenting and stuff like that. And so there was like a gap. There was like a gap between that time and then when I actually kicked this off. And the thing that I see about myself now is that regardless of views, regardless of comments, regardless of anything, I've been consistent, right? I've been
I love
working on
that.
getting up and doing my daily inspiration, getting up and do, you know, the weekly talk show, keeping these things going. And obviously, like I said, it's kind of it's kind of funny, you know, on some aspect, even though it's sad as well, that it seems like quote unquote the enemy is coming for that, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm just getting started. I'm maybe like 2 years in. Like, what is it about me that's, you know, bringing this negativity right now, you know?
Mhm.
But at the other, on the flip side, I have to understand that again, the distraction is going to come, you know, the temptations to quit and all those different things. Oh, I don't want to handle this. Oh, this is, you know, oh, people looking at me a certain way now, you know, X, Y, and Z. But again, you know, I think I've seen those things kind of just fall off my shoulders now. You know what I mean? And I think
Yes.
that's the beauty in, you know, again, walking in your purpose, you know, allowing God to change you, right? He changed my heart enough to say that, or to see that regardless, do it. If you do what I tell you to do, right? Do what I told you to do, which is make a little show, make a podcast, do what you're supposed to do. Then and keep going regardless, that I'm gonna bless it. And that's what I've seen. Even so much so where here I am now talking to you, you know,
Mm.
just because of a step of faith back then. And so, um, you know, I hope that encourages people as well, that, you know, yeah, you're going to still get those things trying to stop you, even after you know, they might go with you and work and do the hard work to get to a better place. But then at the same time, soon as you get there, you got this negativity coming your way, or you got this thing
Yeah.
that's trying to block that, or like, you fixing your life. No, like, you know,
Yeah.
all of that. So like, so do you kind of walk with people through that type of stuff as well, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I found is that there's two types of distractions, right? There's internal distractions and there's external. So we
Mhm,
have the internal thoughts and feelings that can really just derail us, right? Those limiting beliefs, how your brain keeps telling you, why are you even doing this? Like, oh, you didn't get any more views this time. Well, what I found and what the research says is that our brain can only give us so many excuses. It kind of holds on to a couple. So when you can identify when I identify like, oh, there's that one thing you say to me that you usually win.
mhm,
And then I step back like,
yeah,
no, I'm not going to do that. And then we come up with strategies specific for those thoughts. So let's say if you have this idea of like, you aren't getting any comments on your videos, and that is what is like going to stop you. Well, there are probably hundreds, thousands of people that are watching the show. They just don't comment. And
mhm,
being able to reframe those inner distractions is
mhm,
really, really important to practice in order to move through. And then the external distractions, those are the people like that are the naysayers, right? Those are the busy schedule, the kids, technology, all of those things as well. And with those, we have to create boundaries. And we have to know when to say yes and when to say no to them so we can protect our hearts and we can continue moving in the purpose that God has for us.
and look, I believe and receive that today. You know, for me, and I hope that other people are as well. You know, yeah, those internal and external, because and that's actually it's funny because I own the juice is the daily inspiration. I call it the juice. I was talking about that this morning about like, um, you know, how I feel like it could come from both sides as well. Like when I think about like unbelievers and believers, um, because and I feel like Jesus dealt with a lot of persecution, but a lot of it came from within people that was supposed to be believers, right?
Yeah.
People that, you know, the Pharisees and Sadducees that studied and knew everything, right? But then didn't recognize him. And then on the flip side, I mean, there's unbelievers too, you know. And so when you getting all this different type of stuff coming at you, and then you got your inner dialogue. So it can be a lot, right? It can be a lot. And so, I'm glad that you are there to kind of, help the, the people that you work with to, navigate through all of that.
Yeah. And one of the strategies also that I use is we kind of go back to the beginning of the who they are, right? And so I have them create a statement, and I've made a statement. So I am Tabatha, and I am a strong, courageous, bold, and consistent child of God. And when I start to feel distracted, when I start to feel discouraged, I go back to my personal statement and I remind myself of who I am. So I encourage you too to do that, Miracle, right? Create that statement of who you are and lean into that when you start feeling discouraged, because God made you a powerful woman. He put this seed in your heart and you are walking it out. And it is so important that we stand in obedience. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says or does. We have an audience of one.
Hi, Miss Tabatha. See, you finna get me going on. Lord, how many times have I cried on GSL? At least 2 or 3. At least 2 or 3 now. I don't know. Is it day 4? I don't know. Well, Miss Tabatha, I mean, where can we go from here?
Wherever you want.
Receive that. Thank you for
Please
that.
do.
And I'll try to work on my statement when we get off here. Unless, hey, you wanna help me make a statement?
Let's do it.
Look, y'all, take your note, get your pen. I'm gonna use my device. This is
I love it.
Phones, devices.
Yes.
Use my device, and other people, y'all can pull out your pens and papers with your device. So I'm pulling out my notes. Miss Tabatha, Miss Tabatha's like, look, I need to send you my invoice, Miracle.
This is on the house. This is on the house.
So this is my statement. I'm gonna write statement with Miss Tabatha. Everybody, let's do this today. Let's make a statement.
Yeah, make that statement for sure.
Thank you, Miss Tabatha, for this. All right. So the statement, I should say,
Yes.
I am, right?
Yes, I am. And then what are 2 words that you want to describe yourself as? You may not be it all the time, but it is what and who you want to be.
Well, bold is a word that just came in my heart and mind. So I am bold. And
one of the words that you also said was consistent, showing up, right?
Yes, I am bold, consistent, right? Oh, I get more than 2? Uh-oh.
You can get however many you want. I'm a list person, so I literally just listed out 4. And bold and consistent were 2 of mine because I feel like entrepreneurs, like we need those. A lot of entrepreneurs could have similar I am statements, but I think the end part too is really important. The fact that I say I am a child of God. Now, there's other friends that have created I statements and clients who they say I am a woman of God or a daughter of Christ. But for me, I wanted to say child of God because I like to be in control and take care of things. And I need to trust that God is my father and he is going to take care of me. So along with me being bold and consistent and strong and courageous, I also want to have a dependence on the Lord, which is why I chose child of God.
Wow. Well, I was going to put creative and inspiring, but I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's things I want to be or things that I am.
Well, but here's the thing, us as people, we're human, right? So there's some days that we're more than others. So I think that's amazing. Creative and inspiring. Yes, add that.
Creative and inspiring. And I'll put woman of God. Woman of God. That's me, y'all. What y'all put down? Y'all put in your comments below what y'all statements.
Yeah, what is your I statement?
Did I finish or do I need to keep going?
Well, how does that feel for you? Does it feel complete or do you want to add more?
I am a bold, consistent, creative, inspiring woman of God. Sounds like I got too much, no?
No, there's never too much. You're not too much.
Oh.
Where are your Kleenex? Where are your Kleenex?
I know, goodness gracious. Well, that's what I have. I am a
Okay.
bold, consistent, creative, and inspiring woman of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
So
gonna say,
when you start to feel those distractions, you come back to that. You write it out. You put it on your device,
mhm,
or on your mirror.
yeah,
Just to kind of center you, that kind of grounds you, because our brain can take us to so many different places that don't even exist.
mm, right.
And coming back to truth.
Amen to that. I mean, uh, like on one hand, it's like the situation. Like I kind of want to tell you, but I mean, maybe we can talk about it after if you want to. It's deep, but then it's not at the same time because it's just for me. I just feel like it's just the enemy trying to get in there, and it's like, well, you don't have no leg to stand on, and that's the thing. It's like when you're dealing with people, right? And maybe I don't know if this is something that you discuss with your people or not, but um one thing I have to remind myself is that, sometimes it's not even the person that you're dealing with, it's the spirit within the person that you're dealing with, um, and so for example, because on one hand, when I think about the specific situation that I'm in right now, or was in before we got on here, it's like, why is this person being this way? Why does this person see this way? Like, why can't they understand, you know, um, that I'm allowed to believe what I want to believe, and you're allowed to
Yeah.
believe what you want to believe, and we can agree to disagree, like, and things
Yeah.
like that. Um, and then it's like, then it feels like this person wants me to take on their idea of who I am, rather than like pay attention to who I really am.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that sound familiar? Like, is this
Oh,
something
it,
that
it
people deal with?
totally does. Yeah. And it's in Ephesians when it talks about the armor of God, and it talks about how it's not humans on this earth that we're up against, right? It's of the spiritual realm.
Mhm.
And, when people are attacking us, a lot of it has to do with insecurity, their own fears, their own ish going on in their life, right? And Satan will use that to distract us. And it's not human. It is spiritual. And the best thing that we can do is to pray for the people we want to not pray for. When we know that we want to ignore those people and just them be gone, that is when we need to be praying for them the most, because God will change our eyes for them. And that's one of the prayers I've prayed for when people have gotten under my skin or have just challenged me. Is like, Lord, help me to see them the way you see them, because I know you created them with a purpose. I know you love them. I'm not quite seeing how, but I trust you. Help me.
Yes, look, this is so much confirmation today because I talked about this on the juice this morning. And then, yeah, and this is the thing. It's like, yeah, we have to do that. Even though we, like you said, we don't want to, it's like the thing that's furthest from our mind to do. But again, there is a piece with doing that as well. Like, even though it's been kind of, like I said, it's a hurtful situation. Like, it's been kind of hurtful. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to go tit for tat. Like, I don't have to even say anything else to the individual. At the end of the day, I feel like I did my part. I showed God's love, and whether they receive that or not, that's up to
Yep.
them. And it's very interesting because, again, I feel like the person has a totally different perspective of, I guess, the conversation and the situation, and it's just like, where did this even come from? This doesn't even like, in my mind, I'm thinking it's like you really made up a narrative in your mind about who you think I am, like, rather
Yeah.
than just listening to me, you know. But regardless, like you said, we need to just walk things out the way that God says do it, because at the end of the day, it's up to Him to do the vengeance, repay that person for what they have sown, and there's peace in that. There's peace in that as
Yeah.
well.
It's hard to be misunderstood though, and it hurts.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah. All right, Miss Tabitha. Well, is there anything else you would like to share with us today before we let you go?
Whew, well, we covered a lot. But yeah, for those that are just like really feeling challenged and kind of off kilter and just feeling off in life, creating that I am statement, and being open to evolving it and changing it. Mine's changed over time as I've wanted to take on new characteristics and qualities. And I think it's really important to give yourself that time to create it, and then put it somewhere where you can see it. I have mine on my wall. My husband made it into this really cool picture with me on it, like a picture where I feel like I'm looking good. And then my I am statement. And so it's like a great reminder. So I encourage all to do that.
Awesome. Shout out to hubby. Yay.
That's right.
I say those husbands come in handy every now and then.
Oh, they sure do. They sure do.
Yes, yes. Well, where can we find you? Social media, your website, all of that.
Yeah. So I actually have a podcast as well, and it's called the Life Edit Podcast with Tabatha Perry. And so I break down big problems into small, little, manageable, simple edits to make in life. Very much a linear thinker. So I like to go in with like my lists and my tasks and how to get things done. You can also find me on my website, tabathaperry.coach, and on Instagram and Facebook at Tabatha Perry Life Coach.
Awesome. Well, Miss Perry, thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate you coming. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thank you for having me, Miracle.
Miracle Sam's, let's go.
I'm good, but I bet you wishing I would have a one night affair. But I won't go where you need. Cause right now you're looking so good. That's right. But is it worth the chance? If you were more than a thing. No, you see what I'm about.
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Miss Tabatha Perry for blessing us on tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation. Check out her podcast and her website and all of her endeavors. Good night.
Be aware, yeah.